Super-dupers, welcome back to Maxwell Starr's beer review. Tonight here we've actually got a really super special treat. Gonna take a look at a collaboration beer. And believe it or not, I've actually kind of looked at this before, but this is kind of like the revenge. We're gonna take a look at Big Tide and Acadie Broue's collaboration beer, La Gaboteuse. But this time it's La Gaboteuse 2, the awakening, the hoppening, the dry hoppening. Let's see what's happening here. Anyway, this one is about, I think it was review number 236 or something. Back in March of 2012, I reviewed an Acadie Broue, and Acadie Broue is a small nano brewery out in Moncton. They just have like a little brew pub. I don't think it's even a brew pub. I think this guy's got like a keg and a refrigerator and serves his beer in a at the Laundromat Espresso Bar. I've never actually been there, so I can't really say for sure. But he's actually made some real award-winning beers. He's won awards at the Canadian brewing festivals, and yet he's never like made beer available to, like, not even in the growler program. He's still quite small. But he's, like, I've had some of his beers before, and they've really turned out to be quite excellent. And one of the beers that I've had was this collaboration brew that was done between Big Tide, a local brew pub that I've reviewed before. And actually, I haven't reviewed anything from Big Tide in a long time either. Yeah, so it should be interesting to see what this is, because back before it was a Belgian IPA. La Gaboteuse was a Belgian IPA that was it was 7.4% ABV, and I don't remember all the details, but in this one they've kind of amped it up. They increased the grain bill. They've dry hopped the heck out of it, and now it weighs in at 9%. And actually, when I was talking to the guy at Big Tide, I wrote some notes down on what he told me they did with this. So when they brewed this, they brewed it, and the entire batch was using 5 pounds of hops. They were Warrior hops, I think. No, they were Warrior hops, and at the flame out they added Amarillo hops, so right at the end of the boil. They then dry hopped it with a pound of hops for a day for the next 4 days. The first 2 days were Amarillo hops, and the third and fourth days were Simcoe hops. In the end, they really dry hopped the heck out of it, and now it weighs in at 70 IBUs, which doesn't really sound that intense compared to some beers, but I'm still excited nonetheless, considering this just went on tap, I think, last Wednesday, and now it's Friday the following week, and I finally get to check this out. It's nice and fresh. Just picked up that at Big Tide. Really looking forward to this. I figured I'd write down the hop information, because Average Joe tends to pine over that kind of stuff because he's a real hophead / beer nerd, and you know, you got to appreciate that. So let's give this a pour. Oh man, heavy growler. Now I poured it on its side. Plenty of carbonation coming right off of the top, but as it fades out, it very little carbon. It almost looks like ginger ale. There's a little stream of carbonation coming up from the bottom, but that's it. It's not aggressive anymore, and the head is actually not really dense or thick. It's just like a bubble. It looks almost like a soda pop head, but it is fading rather quickly. And one thing I noticed, that despite how dry hopped it is, and despite how you know, like Belgian IPA, usually you think it might be a little cloudy. That is clear as a bell. Oh. Well, let's give it a sniff. Woo! Holy smoke! Mmm. So I'm getting kind of like a pink grapefruit, orange, mango, mixing in with a bready brown bread kind of smell. Oh man, what's that? That reminds me of something. It's almost like the hop profile that was on Houblon Chouf or something. I forget what they brew, what they hop that one with. It really smells quite smooth. I mean, it's not intensely hoppy when you take a whiff of it, but you can tell there's all sorts of flavors. Tropical notes coming up through that one. And of course, now that the head's died off, it's fading a bit. But it still smells quite appetizing, quite delicious. Let's give it a taste. Cheers.
It's gonna be fun, man. I mean, I know this is fuck, but they get a lot smarter. Well, they can do this, man.
Ooh. So.
Yeah, dude, Sarah. We didn't do the dishes or clean the lid. Man, what? She's so pretty. Don't worry about it. I need to break the angle. We'll go home and take care of that.
The first thing I notice about it is that it's really mildly sweet. The body is medium-bodied, coats the mouth, fills the mouth, and goes down really creamy smooth. Finishing off with a nice cereal grain note in the very back, and I don't mean like tastes like corn. No, I mean it's like a bit of like whole wheat toast or something. The hop presence is there. All the flavors are there, but it's not intensely strong. Again, I wouldn't even say that this is 60 IBU. But I mean, there's some impressive work as far as they've preserved all the tastes of the hops. They've used a lot. I think isn't it alpha acid? I'm not a home brewer. I'd have to ask somebody. But isn't there a thing like where it's the alpha acids are high, whereas the beta acids are low? And one of them is they think the alpha acids mean like the flavorings, versus the beta were. Somebody will have to correct me on that one. But it's really more not intensely bitter and more flavorful. And to describe the flavor, I'm getting all the tropical notes almost on the tip of the tongue, around the edges of the tongue. As it glides down the throat, it sort of evaporates into this piney, earthy hop note that lingers in the roof of the mouth. Fuzz would hate this. And it mixes incredibly well. This is really smooth. And for 9% ABV, the alcohol by volume is blended quite well. This is actually quite impressive. That's tasty. I don't know if I'm going to say it's as good as or better than the original, but I got to say it is a very tasty beer. One thing I do notice that I remember I rewatched my Gaboteuse review from a couple of years ago before I recorded this, and I remember saying something about it had a little bit of the sulfuric note. Well, this one it doesn't now. It's actually really quite clean and it's really well put together. The only thing I really wish it had was more of the appearance. Like, they filtered it, obviously. Maybe what I wish is they hadn't filtered it as much and leave some of that hop particulate in there. That brings more of the flavor to the forefront, makes it even smoother, and really it does more for the appearance, at least for me. The head retention is poor. Looking at a Belgian IPA, I usually want something that is maybe a little hazy, and but that still gets a good mark for me. That's going to get a 4 out of 5. I think that's what I gave the last one. And I would wholeheartedly recommend checking this out, although this was the last night that you could pick up a growler of it. I just picked this up fresh tonight, and so it might be on. I don't know how long it'll be until I upload this review, if they ever make it again, or if they if it's still on tap when this review is posted. Go try it. It's not bad. But yeah, I mean, as far as Belgian IPAs go, it's not bad. It's just maybe my only nitpicks about it are the appearance. Anyway, thanks for watching Maxwell Starr's beer review of Big Tide and Acadie Broue's La Gaboteuse 2. We'll talk to you folks later. Cheers.